Welcome once again to the WrestleCord news break for May 3rd, 2026. Let's go over what happened on Collision last night. We had Sky Blow in action with a win over Nixie XS. We also had the Death Riders, John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac getting a win over Top Flight and the Rascals, with Pac utilizing that brutalizer to get a submission from Darius Martin. Also, the conglomeration with a decisive win over MXM TV. Orange using that slacker top rope elbow drop for the pin. We haven't seen MXM on AEW television in quite some while, along with Johnny TV. So it was nice to see them back in the fold. They've been doing a lot of work more in CMLL and in Ring of Honor. Also on the docket from last night, we had the AEW National Champion Jungle Jack Perry with a successful title defense against Mascara Dorada in a fun, hard-fought bout that saw Jack ending it with a top rope Hurricane Rana into a roll-up. Another big title match from last night, Willow Nightingale, our TBS title holder, she had a successful defense over Anna Jay using the Dr. Bomb for the 1-2-3. Then also we had some great tag action, which saw Bang Bang Gang's Ace Austin and Juice Robinson defeat Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia of the Death Riders, with Juice using his Juice's Loose finisher to get the 3 count on Yuta. After the match, the Death Riders, we had John Moxley at ringside during this, also Marina Shafir at ringside as well. They would attack the Bang Bang Gang's Ace Austin and Juice Robinson. Then we would hear the Bang Bang Gang's music hit, and we would see the return of Colton Gunn to AEW television. He's been out for a while with a leg injury. Him, along with his brother Austin, came down to the ring to even the odds against the Death Riders. Then finally, in our main event from last night's Collision, we saw the Jet, Kevin Knight, with a great win over Hook to retain his TNT title using that big UFO splash of his. So all in all, a pretty fun show. It went by like nothing. It was super fast, fun show. If you want to hear a more in-depth recap, please check out our latest edition of the WrestleCord podcast. You can see on RSS, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course here on YouTube. In some more news, we had Logan Paul appearing on 70 Man's new video podcast interview segment show, whatever you want to call it. What's your story? I hate this show. But Logan Paul was on there. He basically took all the credit for WWE ending up on Netflix. Logan Paul would say, "The stats have only grown, mostly because of me." Saying further, "I want to remain humble. Everybody knows I'm the humble king, but it's just so hard sometimes. The product is arguably the best it's ever been, at least from a revenue standpoint, certainly. You're welcome, TKO, for the Netflix deal." I don't know if Logan Paul believes this. I don't know if this is heel work from Logan Paul, who is a current WWE World Tag Team Champion. I'm not really sure if he's being legitimate. I wouldn't be surprised. He's, quite the asshole, as I think a lot of us have been able to discern over the years that he has been in the public eye, along with his brother, who's also another asshole. But nonetheless, just some interesting comments there from Logan Paul, at least in character, claiming to be the reason why WWE is on Netflix. It is hard to argue that they are, from a revenue standpoint, certainly at probably the highest the company has ever been in its history. A lot of fans would argue whether the show is actually better to watch or not. I mean, I guess that's all subjective. Marking out with MVP and Dwayne Swayze interviewed Tony Khan, who talked about the legacy of wrestling journalism on the medium. Tony said, "I absolutely think that there are benefits. You can read about wrestlers and you go out and you want to watch them and they can be very influential on you. And there definitely are positives and negatives. But I definitely think the positives would far outweigh the negatives when it comes to wrestling newsletters and wrestling media." Khan would talk about verifying sources, saying, "There's different ethics in journalism. And I do think, to your point, the sourcing, the verifying of rumors, there's a much higher standard for reporting things in football than there is in wrestling. The kind of sourcing you need to report what is just a rumor, like these locker room rumors. You don't see real football writers writing these kinds of things In wrestling, the journalistic standard is far lower. I'm not sure if I completely agree with that. I see some crazy stuff being written in MMA, and in football, and in all kinds of sports, NBA included. So I don't know if I exactly agree with that. But Khan would also go on to state, but there are the benefits from the coverage that you get, just like in any other sport where you want to have the top writers talking about what they see, giving their opinions. I don't always agree with the football writers. I don't always agree with the wrestling writers, but I respect that people follow something year round, especially wrestling, which really truly is year round. But if you follow the sport, and just like in football and wrestling, I think there is a similar thing where some writers set a higher standard for their writing and for their ethics. Sort of a confusing statement, saying just like in football and wrestling. So it seems like he's comparing. I don't know if maybe he's talking about Olympic style wrestling, amateur wrestling, collegiate wrestling, or indeed pro wrestling. Nonetheless, in injury news update, it's being reported that El Hijo del Vikingo injured his arm during an episode of Lucha Libre AAA. It has not been confirmed, but if you watch the match, it seems it was more or less his shoulder that got injured. Vikingo would post on Instagram a picture of his arm in a sling. Hopefully he's not suffered any serious damage. Vikingo, a big part of the new WWE-led AAA product, so this could have big ramifications going forward if he's out for a substantial amount of time. He is still currently scheduled to fight for the AAA Latin American Championship against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. on May 30th at Noches de los Grandes. So it's interesting to see if he'll actually be able to make that date or not, and how severe this injury is. Hopefully nothing too bad. Then finally, some big news coming out of New Japan Pro Wrestling. It seems AEW's Andrade El Idolo has in fact dethroned the IWGP Global Champion Yota Tsuji. Not a great year for Yota. He started out really strong, coming into the year with the global title over his shoulder, and then at Wrestle Kingdom, he defeated Takeshita to win the heavyweight title, becoming a dual champion, before losing the heavyweight strap just a month ago to New Japan Cup winner Callum Newman, and now he's also lost his second piece of gold to Andrade, so not looking good for him. I do think it'll be interesting to see whether or not Andrade shows up with the belt on AEW television. I know Don Callis, part of his whole gimmick is wanting his guys to have gold. But I think it's interesting that the New Japan's World TV Champion in Konosuke Takeshita doesn't currently appear on AEW TV with the belt. So it's funny. You know, just about a month ago when the newly minted and youngest ever IWGP Heavyweight Champion in Callum Newman made a one-night appearance on AEW TV, he did have the heavyweight strap with him. So I don't know. Only time will tell. And with that, folks, we come to the close of today's WrestleCord news break. I'm Ryan, hoping to see you again tomorrow.